I said boxes to builds, I wasn't kidding, was I? Welcome to the Big Golf Shop. Jimmy Cleary, and we are just burning up 2022. Boxes to builds, number three. So we did some Callaways, and we talked about how to do bore throughs and switching graphites. The second one was on researching what it is. We had the Tacomos in there and what it would do. We got to research when you put your stuff together correctly. Now we're going to get back into some techniques, I think. Let's see. We got to open the boxes, right? That's the way it works. Okay, let's see what else we got. It's looking like it's going to be a very interesting build. Billy has yet to, how shall we say, not impress. What is this? Oh, KBS, okay. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, I'm digging on those. On some of these you got to really check to make sure there's nothing else in there. I don't see it. Next one, again. Ah, here we go. Grips. Ooh, some shafts. Steel fiber. All right, that's unwrapping. Let's see what we got. Sometimes the topics of these boxes to builds are pretty tough to come by because we do a lot of very similar things in order to build a quality set. You know, like we weigh them and we make sure all the things are cleaned out and all those other things that we've already done to this set, that we've done to previous sets, that we've done to a lot of other sets, that we do to every set that comes in here. But in this particular instance, this set is for a previous customer's dad, all right? And this previous customer is a very strong golfer based on the equipment that we've sent. And you can see it's in one of these corners. We'll put a tab up of the build that I've done. X-Flex stuff, very, very stout, okay? Well, apparently Dad is a player as well because of this stuff that has been sent my way. Now, what we are doing here is we are putting together a set of the Callaway TCBs. All right, TCBs. These are a forged club, to be sure. A very minimal offset. All right, it's a smaller profile, a nice thin top line with a big weight that goes here into the back. Now, to kind of give you an idea again, we go from a 4-iron to a pitching wedge. And there's really not a lot going on differently, right? It's slightly wider as it should be because of the higher loft, but it's not a big monster change. The shape does change, and you can tell just by looking at these two, right? A little smaller, a little bit bigger, and that's as it should be. but certainly is a player's iron to be sure. Now we're adding, I think these are just style points to be honest, but we're putting in the Callaway, or we're putting in the TaylorMade high toe, right? Callaway, or I want to say it again, TaylorMade high toe, right? High toe, like a suspiciously like lines going all the way across. Very coarse face. I will say that. Way to go, TaylorMade. A very, very coarse face as far as grabbing the golf ball. Now again, this has 0 offset as it should. A little longer in the hosel, which tends to bring the center of gravity this way. But what it's doing, it's competing with the high toe over here to try and keep it into the middle. That's the way it looks. All right, and then so both quality pieces, right? And we're going to put in some steel fiber 110s. Steel fiber 110s. All right, and these are X flexes as well. Now, these are stout, right? They're anything in X flex and graphite will always be stout. It'll probably play a little bit stiffer than advertised. I would imagine this will be the exact same way. Now, the way steel fiber is built, it is a filament wound shaft. So filament wound is very, very consistent to be sure. That's by the process. It is also very, what can be described as harsh, because it is so consistent. Everything is packed so tightly and it's woven, right? It's woven out there. And then what they do on the outer skin is they put another weave of a very, 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 very thin metal. Hence steel fiber, right? It's steel on the outside, fiber on the inside. Gained a lot of attention on the PGA Tour, and it is because it's a very consistent, very stout shaft. Now these are all taper tips. I'm getting to the point here, guys and gals. Taper tips, they're discrete lengths. We're not frequency matching. But we will try and get as close as we can with swing weights. He's asked for D3 in the irons and D4 in the wedges. We're going to try that one out, right? So we've measured everything. I'm still getting to the point where we're going to go to. Measured everything, and it's actually heavier than most of these other builds that I've done, and that's fantastic because that's going to help without having to add some gross amount of weight like I've done in the past. Now, the last part of this is that we're adding in a Golf Pride Tour Velvet corded grip, the BCT. That's the just buffed cord. Okay, that's what that stands for. And those run around 55, so a little bit higher. So what we've got is a competition. At 110, that's a really good number to have for maintaining swing weight. For the heads being a little bit heavier, I thought, oh my gosh, that could be problematic. However, we're putting heavier grips on, so it's going to balance it out. I don't see us having a big problem there. So since we don't have anything technical, the last thing in the note was these guys. So we're going to make it about these guys. Right there. These are ferrules from BB&F, and they were from Dad's grandkids, so the son's kids, okay? So we're going to put in those, all right? Now this is an inch long, 4 white rings. It's the 370 tip. Well, that's a good thing because we're going to need that. And now, why is this an issue for me? Well, if we can look, see that right there? That is a shoulder. All right, that is a shoulder. And then here as of late, every time we've seen a shoulder and it's been very deep, I've used what's called centering ferrules. It's basically ferrules with collars on. And what that does is that grabs the top to prevent it from shaking around, because that creates a shear point, right? It creates a shear point. Now in steel, that's not such a huge deal, but I'd rather, as sturdy as we can make irons, the better, right? Because they contact the ground. Now what happens is, we'll just use the 4-iron as an example. We take this guy, and we put it in there. Fits pretty good, right? Until you do this. See that movement? That's a lot of movement for me. I'm not real keen on that. So how do we stop that? There's the topic. How do we stop that? How do we make them look good? So this is going to be installing, finishing, and putting on these ferrules. So it's going to be a ferrule video. There's the topic. All right, now as we go, just so you guys know, I do a live stream on Mondays. It's at 17:30, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's on this channel or my Facebook page at McGolf Custom Clubs. We talk about this very same stuff, only it's live, right? I talk about fittings, repairs, opinions. We even talk about some barbecue every once in a while, so it's just a good, friendly, around-the-world chat. Come visit us on Mondays, 17:30 or 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, if you would, like, subscribe. There's something floating around here. Go down here in the bottom, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and that way you get more of these things, more of these videos when they drop. Okay, so back to this. So we're going to do this ferrule, and so there's a couple of things here. Normally, I would be harping and pleading and crying about putting in a ferrule that has a collar on it so it wouldn't shake. We're going to stop it from shaking. Okay, we're going to stop it from shaking. We're going to install these things. We're going to make Dad happy, the kids happy, that Grandpa gets his setup. Okay, so I've got to put I got to get these things set up. I've done the flowing, I've done the spining. I've just got to do, I've done the spining. I got to do the flowing in order to make them right. Then we'll go over to the bench and I'm going to show you how. So give me a few minutes and we'll go over there. All right, I had to do a little bit of, how shall we say, modification. Let's get rid of that. There we go. And what I had to do is I had to make the tip size big enough to be able to hold that, okay? And so it is. There it is. It's in there nice and tight. Now, how do we get past the wobble, all right? How do we get past the wobble? With one of those guys, a 355 to 370 shim. Now, I know you guys are screaming at me, but Jim, that's not 370. And you would be absolutely positively correct. However, what I need is a massively tight fit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to get some glue in there, and in all reality, with the glue in there, it's not bad, right? It's really not bad. You could probably get away with that, but I want it tighter. So we're going to put this guy in here. Now that's a lot of work, but first we got to put the ferrule on. Now normally these are really tight. However, because they're taper tip, they tend to slide on pretty decent. So we're going to get in here, push them down. I want to push them down all the way because I want to make sure I'm seating it. All right, get a little bit of glue on that. Get the shim in there. Find my line. I know I already got glue in there, so I'm getting close. All right, it's a lot of work. So if it was easy, everybody'd do it. Kind of clamper work. We still got to go about 1/8 of an inch. Apparently I shocked it all the way down. So now we got it married up. Wipe all that excess stuff off. And now we've got an iron that's waiting. And it's in there very tight. All right, these longer ferrules present a different problem than their normal ferrule because I have a 1-inch belt and it's about a 2-inch ferrule. So you have to make sure that you have a smooth transition so it looks good all the way and you don't get this hourglass shaping or what I would call a pyramid shaping. What you have to do is, first and foremost, make sure that the ferrule comes up to the, matches onto the hosel, and then you have to smooth it out. And as you've seen there a couple of times, that we're going to shape the bottom and then lightly shape the top. Once that's done, then you have an extremely good-looking ferrule. Once we have the ferrule shaped the way we want it, it's time to take the tape off, and we will proceed to our next step. Now we're applying acetone in the same direction as the shaft, which was 90 degrees from the way that we were removing the ferrule and shaping it to where we want it to go. We liberally apply some acetone to a 2x2 paper towel, rub up and down. Now while it's going around, you can also see that you're creating quite the shine, and that's what we want, because that's going to make the next step even easier. The final step here is applying the glass watch or the yellow polish. Now, when we do this, we got to make sure that when we have a club with a finish, to use a light touch so you don't wear off that finish unintentionally. This is the step that's going to remove a lot of the final imperfections that you have in order that you show a very, very good high polish, a very, very good mating surface, and a final look is just outstanding when you're all said and you're all done. On the Boxes to Builds Volume 3, we were in such a hurry because we had to leave to go to Orlando that I never really finished the final part of it, right? So we didn't take any pictures of what it looked like, but you got to see the finished product while in one of those when I was doing. So we were talking about some really long ferrules and how to shape them, clean them, shape them, shine them, the whole 9 yards in order for them to look good. And they turned out pretty good. You have to remember you want to take care of the bottom part first in order so that it marries up to the bottom of the hosel, and then the second part to shape it into what's left over that you took out before. So again, we're here in Orlando now, and every time I've tried to do this, there's been some either tremendously bad weather, so I couldn't be outside. So now we're inside in order to get this one finished. So from Orlando, forgot this. Again, you're going to see something in the way of probably over here. I got to think about, nope, over here. There's going to be a circle over here for subscribing, and there's going to be a video right over here. It talks about something else that's on the channel. If you would, take a look at it, subscribe, and that way you get more of the videos when they drop. And hit that subscribe bell. It might be floating around depending on your app and what you're doing. And that way you get notified when I get other videos or live streams that we're putting out. And again, as always, let's see your scores. Go low.